This is Andy Purewal for Boxing Social in association with Betfred, and I am delighted to be joined by David Price for the first time in 2022. David, firstly, Happy New Year. I hope you had a good one and a good Christmas.
Same to you, Andy. All the best, mate. All the best.
Thank you, mate. Did you get up to much over the festive period?
It's family time, really. Just catching up with a few friends and the usual. Just probably the same as everyone else, eating and drinking too much, and then going into January with the blues. But I'm back in the gym and doing like positive things. So back to normal now. All good.
Now, let's obviously get into some boxing talk. You mentioned back into the gym, but it's not back into the gym in the sense of preparing for a fight. You announced your retirement last year. So just to touch on David, we haven't had a chance to speak. What made you take that decision?
It was a number of factors, really. It was just a matter of, in the end, time began to dictate what I was going to do more than anything. You know, the COVID situation, when I had fights lined up, and to be honest, my heart probably weren't completely in it even at that point. I was going to be fighting probably for the wrong reasons, which was to just keep getting paychecks, really. And then the longer it went on, the more I became aware of that. And, you know, in the summertime, a couple of fights got mentioned. One was Usyk Fury, which I thought, right, I could get my teeth into that fight as far as the training's concerned, and, you know, getting excited about fighting that level again, and the upside if the victory was there, and the boxing style of the opponents, that type of thing. So, but that didn't come off. And then when the next fight that got mentioned was to fight in October on the Liam Smithville, Andy Fowler, and I started doing a bit of training, and my body just weren't recovering between sessions. My mood was low because of how tired I was and everything else. And it was at that point I thought, well, you know what? It's time to call it a day, and that was that.
Boxing's a dangerous sport, as you know, David. You've been in there for years now, going back to your amateur days. So when you first recognised that it was time to step away, are you kind of just thankful that you've done so? Because we have seen people cling to the sport, as it were, or we've seen some of the legends return to the ring recently. What's made you kind of reassured in yourself that now you've retired, you won't be stepping back, and if you was, it might not be for the right reasons?
Yeah, it's just I've done it on my own terms, really. You know, not many people can walk away from boxing on their own terms, especially not many people at all where they go out at the top on their own terms, and, you know, they go off a win or whatever. Obviously, it was coming off a defeat, but people were telling me to retire years ago. There's always someone saying you should retire, this, that, and the other, but I stayed in it because I still felt I had to prove to myself I could do a little bit more as far as achieving and fulfilling certain ambitions and certain targets. And once I got to them, it was kind of like the glory's gone. You know, there's going to be no world title fights. There's not going to be big glory nights or whatever else. So why am I doing it? And why will I continue to do it, I should say. And what I said before was to continue picking up wages. And I thought there's got to be easier ways to do this. There's a big future for me outside of boxing, whatever I decide to do. You know, I'm going to be around many years, hopefully, where I'm not a boxer. So I need to get into that mode now. And, you know, 38, noise out of this dog, sorry, the 38, it's the right time. And, you know, I've got my health, you know, I've got my faculties are intact for now, obviously, because boxing's a sport which probably catches up on you later in life. Now, for me personally, I was never involved in any big, long 12-round wars, or, you know, for the right or wrong reasons. You know, as soon as a lot of the time, if I got it with a good shot, I was on my back or hurt, and that might have worked in my favour in a roundabout way for longevity of brain health and things like that. You just won't know until that time comes. But over the years, sparring, training, fighting, it all takes its toll. And the body can only do for so long And if the hunger isn't there, and once the hunger's gone, you know, the thought of it is even you know, off-putting. So, you know, even if I did think, oh, I'll give another go, I'm starting to feel 38 now. Do you know what I mean? I'm a big man. I've been carrying this big frame around for that long. Everything's harder when you're this big, believe it or not. You know, it's harder to pick things up off the floor. It's hard to get up out of a chair. You're a big man with big joints and carrying a lot of weight. So, you know, I just think perfect time to do it. But enough about me anyway. I don't want to talk anymore about that. Talk about something else.
I know you don't talk about anymore. Just one final question. What is the highlight of your career?
The highlight's got to have been the British title fight against Audley Harrison. That, as a professional, that was the one where, like, the walkout in the Echo Arena, you never walk alone, blasting the fans. The whole city was behind me at that moment. It was a great time, and although it didn't go on to fulfil what we all hoped, I still experienced that. That was magical in itself. So that was the highlight. The highlight of my amateur career was beating the Russian in the Olympics. I've never felt euphoria like that, and probably never will again. That was unbelievable, and that, you know, boxing as a whole has given me so many great memories and great lessons in life, and you know, it's made a lot of the man I am today. Just the way I am as a person teaches you so much, and that's why I'm always a big advocate of young kids getting into boxing, despite me saying, oh, well, we were talking about how dangerous and how difficult it is. It's such a great sport.
I mean, David, I also know you beat a certain Gypsy King in the amateurs. Can you recall that story for those?
Yeah, well, like the Northwest Counties ABA final, and Tyson Fury he'd just come onto the scene a year earlier, and he was writing letters to the boxing news, things like that, and he had a lot to say, and that was as unheard of in the amateurs. You didn't hear of that, and it threw me a little bit, to be honest. He said he was coming to take David Price's Olympic spot when he was on the first England camp he was on, and I thought, I'll see this fella off, no problem. I've seen these type come before where they've thought I'd be a bit of a pushover, but he had a little bit something different about him. And then we boxed in the ABAs after he'd won a bronze in the World Juniors, which is a big achievement, especially for a man who, you know, was pretty new to the sport at the time as far as fights were concerned. So it was a test, like, for myself, even though I'd just won the Commonwealth Games gold. It was a big fight, and I was up for it. And I just got off to a good start. I won the first round by quite a few points, and then it was just a matter of preserving my lead. But I watched the fight recently because someone put it out on the internet, and the quality isn't great, the filming quality, because it's like on, I think someone bought like a DVD video camera at the time, and they were like, oh, the go, but they turned out to be a bit crap, but so it's a bit sticky and fuzzy, but it was a good fight. It was a good performance by me, and he was really good as well at that time. Only at that time, I was probably reluctant to give him credit for being good because he was my rival. But looking back, you know, we could see he had something about him.
I was about to ask, could you see, especially now looking back, that you was in the ring with somebody who is now widely regarded as the best of his current crop of the heavyweight division, and far
I wouldn't have gone that far at that time, though. That's the thing. I would never have ever thought it was going to go to what he's done, and that's kudos to him for what he's put in the years after. You know, a lot of hard work's gone into it, and you know, all the prophecies that he came out with, that he got laughed at, really, about by a lot of people, including myself. They've self-fulfilled, haven't they, type of thing. So, you know, well done too.
Just on Tyson, David, and moving forwards, there's a lot of talk about what's next for him. We expected it to be Dillian White. That's obviously an ongoing situation. But the WBC announced an 80-20 split in favour of Tyson if the fight there was to go to purse bids. Just get your thoughts firstly. You know, you've been involved in the sport for such a long time. Do you agree with 80-20 in favour of Tyson?
I'm not really sure about the numbers. I don't know what the original pay split percentages are between champions and mandatories, which is why hang on a sec. You know, are you there?
Yeah.
Someone tried to phone me. You know, why it's always better to do a deal before the purse bids in these big title fights, because especially in Dillian White's case, you know, he's been the mandatory challenger for a long time, a very long time, or he's been number one for a long time, but the rules don't take that into consideration. You know, Dillian White could have got his shot after his first eliminator and probably would have been content with a 20% split of the purse. Now, you'd have to look at also who's the A side. Obviously, the champion's always the A side, but a lot of the money for the Tyson Fury fights is probably coming from stateside as well, because of the deal he's got with ESPN and the top rank thing and things like that. So he's bringing that to the table. I don't know. I mean, what's 5% if he's going to get 5% more? You can't ask for more than 30%, I'd say, if he was the mandatory challenger, and you've never won a world title, by the way. You know, if you're a former world champion, like say it was AJ versus Fury, then you could probably argue the toss. So, you know, Dillian should get exactly what he deserves, by the way. But as far as numbers are concerned, it's all just simply that. It's numbers. We all just want to see the fight. As long as both men get paid well at the end of the day, that's that matters really.
What do you make of Fury White, David? What's your take?
I think it's definitely a fight which Tyson Fury is. It's a fight which Tyson Fury not so much needs, but it's one of the remaining few which I think it will get him up for the fight type of thing, because, you know, although he's fighting for his legacy, so he's always fighting for that. You know, we can always get motivated type of thing, but I can kind of running out of opponents in my eyes who the fans are going to get excited to see him fight. You've got AJ, he's beat Wilder twice and had the draw with him. AJ, Usyk, you know, then you're talking domestic battles, and Dillian White falls into that category. He beat Derek Chisora twice. Dillian White's a fight. It's an interesting one because Dillian's got the ruggedness about him, which might cause Tyson Fury problems. You know, he's rugged, he's tough, he can fight dirty. Tyson Fury's got fighting dirty down to an art, and it is an art, because it's a lot of it. You can't really be taught it. And Dillian White has also got that in him because he's come from that MMA background and the kickboxing and all that. So it's going to be intriguing. I think it's a great fight.
Dillian still got his arbitration case ongoing with the WBC, so there was talks of a potential Fury Ruiz fight in the interim. Again, any interest there, David? You know, Andy Ruiz versus Tyson in the interim?
Yeah, don't see why not. You know, I wouldn't say it's a keep busy fight, because again, Ruiz can cause a shock, cause an upset, but you know, he'd be a big favourite to win. And he's got to see out this contract with ESPN, hasn't he? I think he's got one fight left on that deal, and then he's taken something else to a different table. Then it's probably going to go to another level. But Tyson Fury, the athlete, the fighter, he'll want to fight the best challengers, and Ruiz will probably fall into that category, especially for who's available. All the next ones coming through, they're not quite ready yet. Do you know what I mean? The up and comers and just hovering in the echelons just below, they're not quite ready for the title shot yet. So I don't think it's a bad call.
Away from that, Anthony Joshua, Alexander Usyk 2, or Usyk-AJ 2, we should say. Obviously still waiting for an official announcement as to when that will take place. But heading into it, David, what do you expect to see this time around? And we've seen AJ, you know, speaking to different trainers. You'll know Rob McCracken from your own amateur days. Do you think it'd be the right move from AJ to be considering another coach to come into the setup?
Yeah, I think because he's lost twice while he's had the same head coach. He brought someone else in, didn't he, after the first loss? The first person you look towards when you lose a fight, it's your trainer. You know, the first person to take the blame. Ron McCracken's done a fantastic job with Andy Joshua, but I just think at this stage in AJ's career, he's not going to change much as a fighter, you know, because he's been trained to box the way he boxes, and he's completely a manufactured fighter. In my eyes, he's just pure boxer, well schooled, pure boxer. That's why I'm saying, like, some people have got this natural fighting ability, like your Tyson Furies, where I'm talking about that dirty fighting down to an art. That's just in him. Whereas, can AJ be taught that? Because I think it's something like that which is the only way you can beat Usyk, because he's another well-schooled fighter. It's from the Olympic school of boxing, and you know it's textbook boxing at its very best. Now, I don't think that beats Usyk. So they're talking about getting someone in who'll bring the aggression out of Joshua, or the dog out in him and all that. But then, if you're doing that type of boxing, but in the conventional fashion, if that makes sense, not in like a little bit of a different manner, it can still be read by your Usyks. It can still be anticipated what you're going to do, even though it'll be more aggressive, and that could then cause more problems because of creating more openings for the likes of Usyk who could, you know, counter AJ as he's coming in or whatever. Because the last fight where he tried to outbox the boxer, I said the other day, could have either been down to his ego wanting to prove he was a better boxer than one of the best in the world, or the first few shots he took in the first couple of rounds, which you did visibly see, stunned him a little bit, earned his respect to the point where he thought, if I go for broke here, I could get caught and knocked out. And he has already been knocked out, AJ, and that won't leave him. You know what happened with Ruiz. So he's got a big hurdle to overcome. You know, I don't think it's going to be a successful night for him, and that's just because styles make fights, and Usyk's all wrong for him. You know, and that's how I feel about it.
Moving on from that, David, Eddie Hearn said he wouldn't mind seeing Derek Chisora and Deontay Wilder. Would you be interested to see that?
I think it's a great fight. I think it's a great fight, and I can see where the likes of Dave Colwell's coming from with it. But you need to also look at Deontay Wilder's last couple of fights. You know, he's took a couple of beatings. You know, will he be the same fighter? And as clinical as he is, you know, Derek's world-class toughness. It's Derek's world-class toughness against Deontay Wilder's world-class finishing and punch power. But Derek isn't as beaten up as people think, in my opinion. You know, he's got a better defense than people give him credit for. You very rarely see him marked up. And out of the 12 defeats, which they're talking about, which is just a number at this stage, you know, you could argue that 6 of them should have been wins for Derek, or maybe more. So I think there's still life in him in the tank. And if he's going to go and fight again against an 18-stone man, you could get in the ring and fight a so-called non-puncher and get hurt, get knocked out, get hurt, and badly damaged. So if you're going to take that chance anyway, you may as well take it and be in a big fight that you can get your juices flowing for and get paid a shed loads of money for. So I think it's a good fight, and I think it's a fight that people would take to and watch.
A couple of fights at a couple of smaller weights. I just want to get your thoughts on. Firstly, Amir Khan and Cal Brook, Feb 19th. Finally get to see it, David. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, it hasn't quite got the same ring to it as it that it once would have. But again, people are still watching because of the names involved. I think it's sold out double quick times, isn't it, as well? Which is, it just shows you, doesn't it? You know, the names remain in people's minds for years, and the two of them have been inactive of late as well. But because of the household names they've got, especially Khan, people are going to watch it. I just hope it isn't like, you know, like when Joe Calzaghe fought Roy Jones. it kind of just didn't have the same prestige, and the win for Calzaghe just didn't get looked upon as it would have in the years earlier. But the two of them do owe it to themselves to fight each other because of the rivalry. And they both, both deserve a nice send-off and a nice payday, send-off type of thing. If they're going to retire, whoever wins might fight on. But I think it's a great fight. Again, it's if Amir Khan can avoid getting hit by Kell Brook's power punches, because if he doesn't, we all know Khan can be hurt. But that's what makes him so exciting. And what a fighter he has been over the years. I think he's been massively underappreciated, Amir Khan, and it's because he's got this fragility about him. He's got that vulnerableness where he can be hurt, and people don't like that. It's the glass chin, this, that, glass jaw. I had it for years, and people seem to think it's like it obviously isn't a strength in boxing, but if you can negate that by using your speed and power and everything else that comes with your skills, like Khan's got, that's an entertaining fighter in a nutshell, and that's what he's brought over the years. Massively entertaining, but massively talented as well. When you think about what he's done, 17 years old, winning Olympic silver medal. Kell Brook being a pro since a kid, and has just had an absolutely outstanding career himself. Beat Sean Porter, over in LA. What a win that was in hindsight. And even at the time, I thought it was a fantastic win. So, the top level elite fighters who are probably over the hill, but it's still a great fight that we've all got to tune into.
Final one, David. Chris Eubank Jr. and Liam Williams looking at a targeted rescheduled date of February 5th. What are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, I think another good fight. Liam Williams are probably a little bit underrated as well. He's a cracking boxer, brilliant boxer. He's improved no end since he's been in the Ingle gym. But I think Chris Eubank is going to be a little bit too explosive for him. But it's going to be a great fight because Liam Williams will stand and have a bit of a toe-to-toe with him at times. But he needs to be switched on and not do it too often because, I love watching Eubank. He has his detractors as well. I love watching him. I'd like to see him fight Canelo. When Canelo was looking for opponents and everything else, well, he's moved up in weight now. But one of the fights I would like to have seen was Canelo v Eubank, because I just think it would have been a fantastic, entertaining fight for however long it lasted. I think Canelo obviously comes out on top. But I'm a fan of Eubank. I'm a fan of his fighting style, and I think it's entertaining like his dad was. And I think Liam Williams is a good fight for him, especially considering his last few fights. They haven't really been testing him, if you will. And I think this one is more worthy of a main event, a big show to showcase his skills on. I think that's the one. Is Liam Williams. It's the right fight at the right time, and I think Eubank will come out on top.
Right, David, we'll leave that there now. I'll leave you to enjoy the rest of your day.
All right, mate.
Catch up with you. I've told you I will definitely keep in touch and we'll catch up more often now. Appreciate it. Thank you.
Yes, mate. Thanks, Andy.